Recent geopolitical instability and economic challenges have led to huge changes in the energy industry. Nordic headquartered international investment bank Pareto Securities is rooted in the maritime and energy sectors, making it a key player in this conversation. I'm Rosanna Lockwood and I'm in Davos, where I sat down with their CEO to learn about Pareto Securities' role as a Nordic gateway. Time to talk sustainable financing. Time to talk about the energy transition. Let's speak to CEO Christian Jormas of Pareto Securities. It's fantastic to have you with us here. Beautiful Davos, Switzerland. Welcome.
Rosanna, it's really good to be here and to beautiful Davos. Really nice to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you. Hope you have some time to enjoy the skiing.
Well, I will, certainly. Use the opportunity.
Fantastic. Now, we do have a lot of ground to cover in the topics, but let's start by understanding what Pareto Securities is. What do you guys do?
We are a Nordic investment bank with full services in the Nordics and a global focus on the energy sector and financing the energy transition.
How did you get involved in the energy sector? When did that begin?
We started in 1986 with focus on Nordic industries and Nordic companies. And we have built on 200 years of experience from maritime industries, 100 years with hydropower, 50 years of oil and gas. And we believe that has gained us some experience to also now be leading in the energy transition.
Well, yeah, you would think it multi-decades of experience in the maritime sectors, the energy sectors. Tell me a little bit about the company operations. You must have some sort of international footprint outside of Norway.
Yeah, so we are headquartered in Oslo, Norway, and Stockholm, Sweden. We have 12 offices in 10 countries, including all Nordic countries, Germany, Switzerland, and then US, UK, Singapore, and Australia. And just to give a perspective, I wanted to come here also to talk about the energy industry. We, as Pareto, since 2006, we have raised around $130 billion in financing and in energy transactions since 2006. And that includes some 800 transactions for equities, bonds, M&A, and project finance.
That's a lot of deal volume.
It is a deal volume, but the interesting thing and the good thing is that renewable energy accounts for more than 20%, and it's sharply rising.
That's interesting because it's interesting to understand the mix. Obviously, at the moment, there's an energy crisis, not only in Europe, but many places around the world. The Ukraine war has exacerbated that. Talk to us about how Pareto Securities is getting involved in helping secure energy supplies.
First of all, the situation means that Europe and the world needs more energy capacity. And in order to get more energy capacity, you need to invest significantly more in energy, both traditional energy sources, but also renewable energy sources. And we hope that that is one of the things that comes out of now the energy crisis, more investing in renewable energies. EIA, the International Energy Agency, stipulates that energy investments needs to double from $2 trillion a year to $4 trillion a year every year to 2050 in order to get to a net zero. And that's a lot of investments. And that goes for both renewable energy but also traditional energy.
The energy transition, as it's being called, is going to take quite a lot of time. You know, there are plenty of energy players underway at the moment investing in renewables, but as you said, also investing in more traditional carbon forms because we need a lot of energy and we need it now.
How can the Nordics play a role? I mean, Norway is, besides Russia, we are the largest producer of natural gas in Europe. So we are, of course, stepping up our efforts in order to meet energy demand short term. And we also then believe that natural gas, in particular, will be and must be a part of the energy mix in many years ahead until we have enough renewable energy capacity. But then over time, the solution is renewable energy and renewable energy only.
I mean, we hear liquefied natural gas being called the transition fuel to that point.
Exactly, and it's what is also good. It's the perfect fit with wind and solar, because I mean natural gas can be stored. So when it's not blowing and when the sun is not shining, we can use natural gas. So it's the perfect fit.
It sounds like the perfect fit, but of course, a lot of this matters in terms of appetite for investment. You've already talked about the vast deal volumes that you transact, but also the goals that are needed, the doubling of investment in order to reach these targets. So talk to me about investor interest you're seeing in renewable energy. Is there appetite?
Yes, of course, the markets are impacted by higher interest rates and inflation, but we see significant interest for renewable energy projects. And only in the last sort of half a year, we have been involved in financing green infrastructure projects, waste to energy projects, vessels run on batteries. And to take this waste to energy projects that we are currently working on in the UK, this project gets 50% of their revenue from receiving waste from local municipalities, and it gets 50% from selling the energy they're then producing to end customer via long offtake agreements. And that is good for the client that receives clean energy. It's good for the society, and it's good for the environment. Good for all. Ticking all the boxes.
So you've talked to us a little bit about the mix needed, ideally, and that the solution really is more renewable energy capacity, but energy transitions take a long time, and we need a lot of energy now.
Yes, exactly. And that's why we significantly need to step up our investments in renewable energy, wind and solar now, because it takes time from investment decision to the capacity coming on stream. So we need to do it now. But the good thing is that you see that onshore wind and solar are already very competitive in terms of cost per energy capacity produced. We are talking about 4 to 5 euro cents per kilowatt hour produced. So it's very competitive versus fossil alternatives. Whereas other sources like carbon capture, like hydrogen, like ammonia, needs, call it government support in order to be profitable. For those new energy sources, the Nordics sort of have been early innovators in many of those sources. That is due to the fact that we have risk-willing firms, we have free-thinking engineers, we have supported governments, and we have also dynamic capital markets. And just I wanted to also to include that we see that because of the situation in the Nordics, I mean, we see that the Nordics attract global investor interest for renewable energy. And if you look at listings of new companies on Nordic stock exchanges, we've seen a number of renewable energy companies becoming listed in the last 2-3 years.
And that Nordic expertise that you're talking about there, you know, it's on the financing, the investment banking side, but it really is from maritime and energy. That's the history.
That is the history. And again, one fact, I took out sort of statistic from Bloomberg on equity issues in Europe, Middle East, and Africa in second half of 2022. And we came on top of that list with most transactions done, and that is mainly due to the high activity in energy.
You've spoken to us already about the appetite for investment in renewables. You really, at Pareto Securities, are at the forefront of sustainable financing. You see it day in, day out. So give me a sense, Christian, of where you see the future of sustainable financing going.
Yeah. So first of all, we see an increased demand for sustainability-linked financing. And we see that we have been through a period now in early phases of energy transition where there has been some greenwashing going on. Now we see that investors require more substance, so to speak, in terms of environmental, social, and governmental issues. And we see that those who are transparent on those issues, they have a larger investor audience, and also tend to have better financing terms. So that's really good. We are actually initiated a project where we, together with partners, rank the 100 largest companies in Norway, Sweden and Finland on ESG criteria. We believe transparency will be crucial in succeeding in sustainable financing going forward. Also, I mean, ESG is an area where the Nordics score relatively high, and Pareto Securities can be a driving force in sustainable financing of the energy transition.
Let's sort of round this conversation up by talking about the setting we're in, Davos, Switzerland. The setting for the World Economic Forum on an annual basis. And this year, the world leaders and the policy leaders, they're meeting together under this theme, cooperation in a fragmented world, to stop a decade of inaction and inactivity. From what you've seen so far with the WEF and also maybe with the UN with their sustainability development goals, do you feel reassured about cooperation on a sort of global level, on a public level?
The energy crisis, of course, to some extent, it gathers people and countries. I mean, we see now that there are sort of even closer connection between the Nordics and Europe. We cannot solve the energy crisis alone, so there needs to be cooperation. And we need to step up on renewable energies, and that must be done in cooperation between companies, investors, governments, and us as a financial intermediary.
Certainly, I know people in continental Europe and in Britain are now much more aware of the assistance of our friends from the north and the energy perspective side of things. It's really been heightened this year. Christian Jomas, CEO of Pareto Securities, it's been fantastic speaking to you. Thank you.
Thank you. A pleasure.